All right, complete the do now, please. All right, so question 1. When describing weather, what 3 things are included in that description? We went over this yesterday. What's that? You were there yesterday, Erica. Do you remember? Winds? Not winds. I understand why you would say that, but they, if you're looking at the weather report on on TV, then they would include that. But when they describe weather, I said they use these 3 things to describe the weather. Because when you use one of these 3 things, that would basically tell you if it's going to be windy or not. Air pressure, right? Air pressure. Again, how many types of air pressure systems are there? What's that? 2. High pressure, low pressure. Good. So if it's low pressure, well, I'm not going to answer that. Go into that yet because I don't want to give away the answer for number 3. In addition to air pressure, they're also going to give you the temperature and humidity, which brings me to the second question. What is humidity? What? We went over this yesterday also. The amount of water vapor in the air. Good. The amount of moisture in the air. Good. And then the last question, what type of pressure system are we experiencing today? High pressure, because obviously if you look out the window, it is clear skies, no stormy weather. So therefore, yes, it would be high pressure. All right, so let's look at today's weather report. Make sure you're paying attention.
Skill up to success on Udemy. Thousands of online courses on demand. Learn the latest skills from expert instructors. Anytime, anywhere. Skill up to Programming Pro. Analytics Ace. Marketing Maestro. With the #1 online learning destination in the world. Skill up, move up. Go to udemy.com and start learning now.
We've got some clear skies out there right now. It looks like we've got a little bit of a wind chill starting this morning, a northwestern wind at about 17 miles per hour. 33 degrees is the temperature, but when you factor that wind in, we have a wind chill. 25 degrees is the way it feels. So northern numbers are anywhere from 24 to 28 degrees, but that wind chill value will hit you as you step outside the door this morning because we're almost near the single digits. So 11 to 23 degrees is the range.
So wind chill, what they do is they take the temperature and include the wind in that. And so basically, they're saying it's 31 degrees, but with the breeze, it makes it feel like it's 21 degrees. All right? So it actually feels colder than the actual temperature.
That we're going 21, 22 right on the Jersey Shore. Still, you can see that system that's off the east coast of the U.S. This is the one that's been hanging around for a long time, but it's high pressure that steps in for us during the day today. You can already see that line of drier skies, clearer skies out there today. Some western areas, northern areas had some clouds to contend with yesterday. Sunshine mixed in during the day today will all kind of brighten up those skies. You can see what's happening here as that erodes. So with that open spot right along the coastline, you can definitely see a storm system moving close to us by the time we get into Friday. This is a storm system that drops a little moisture in Missouri, also into Arkansas as it moves into the Carolinas, Virginia. It's got some snow, rain mixed with it. It'll pull off the shoreline and then just kind of pull away toward the Atlantic. So we're left alone from that one, but there's some new information about this next storm system that comes in Tuesday into Wednesday, and it moves right across the area from the deep south, and it looks like we're going to get some kind of rain-snow mixed. probably Tuesday night into Wednesday. But we've got some time to work out the details. Remember, we were talking about that being a Sunday into Monday. So now it's a little bit delayed. It's no longer a coastal storm, so we'll be watching what the models do with it. We'll do a couple of time stops here just so you know what your day is like today. Thursday at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. 43 degrees on our way to a high of about 45. Those winds are still in northern direction, and they're a little bit breezy, but not as tough as yesterday. Friday morning at about 7 a.m., we still have these nice dry skies, and I think mostly we're going to continue to be dry all the way through the weekend until we start to watch that storm system for the first of next week. Sunshine during the day today, 42 degrees, 45 will be our high. So bright sun, breezy day, clear skies, chilly night at about 31 degrees. As we look tomorrow, early sunshine, some late clouds, 42 the number there. So we'll go from 45 to 42, 38 degrees by the time we get into Saturday, and watching for that storm system at the beginning of next week.
Okay, so what I want to talk about today are air masses. Now, an air mass is a large body of air that has similar temperatures and humidity levels throughout that body of air. So how an air mass forms is when a large body of air sits over a particular area for a period of a few days, it's going to pick up the characteristics of that area. So for instance, if an air mass forms over the water, right? We have a large body of air sitting over the water for a period of a few days. What would you think the humidity levels are going to be in an air mass that forms over a body of water? Is it going to be dry air or is it going to be moist air? What's that? Moist, because it's forming over water, right? So, same question, but let's say the air mass formed over land. Would you expect it to be moist or dry? Dry, right? All right. So again, remember the air is picking up the characteristics of that area. Now, as the other thing that when we describe an air mass is the temperatures, right? So if I had an air mass form over Texas, would I expect that air to be warm or cold? Warm, right? Because it formed in an area where there are warmer temperatures. Good. If it forms over Canada, would it be cold or hot? Cold, right? All right, so anytime there is a weather change, it is due to arrival of a new air mass. So when an air mass forms and then it finally moves, it's going to bring the characteristics of that area with it. And when I say characteristics, I'm specifically talking about the moisture levels and then the temperature. All right? So copy this down, please. Get the right slide. All right. So anytime there is a weather change, whether it be temperature, whether it be humidity levels, that's due to an arrival of a new air mass. And that weather won't stay there forever because eventually another air mass is going to come in and move that one out of the way. All right, so there are different types of air masses. There's four major ones. And so they're named based on where they form. So if it forms over land, they call it continental. Why? Land continent, right? If they form over water, they are called maritime. Maritime has to do with the oceans, okay? Now, as for temperature, if it forms in a warmer area, it is called tropical. If it forms in a colder area, it is called polar. So a maritime polar air mass forms over the ocean, but in a place where there are colder temperatures. So when this air mass approaches an area, it's going to be cool and moist. For a continental polar, it formed over land, polar region, therefore it's going to be cold and dry. Maritime tropical, All right, it's going to have high moisture levels and it's going to be warm temperatures. And then you have continental tropical, it's going to be dry and hot. All right, so those are your four major air masses. Now, you do have one which we don't experience too often. It is called a continental Arctic. That's going to bring temperatures in like the teens, the single digits. You're talking about extremely cold air. That happens every once in a while. But these are your four major ones right here. Very good. So, does anybody want to take a stab at determining what type of air mass we have today? What?
What type of pressure? I know there's four different air masses. Right?
Yeah. What type of air mass are we experiencing today? Well, think about the conditions outside. Is it moist or dry? What's that? It's dry, right? Is it cold or warm? Cold, right? So what type of air mass is that? Continental polar, very good. All right, I believe. Yeah.
The reports for a few days, and you will probably see weather systems move from one location to another. Weather conditions change from day to day because of the movement of air masses. An air mass is a large body of air that takes on characteristics and conditions similar to the area that the air mass forms over. Air masses can form over land or over water, and either in polar regions or in the tropics. Here is a map that shows the common air masses that affect the weather for the continental United States. Air masses take on the characteristics of the area in which they form. The continental polar air mass would be cold, dry air. The air mass over water in the tropics is moist, warm air. Air masses forming over water are moist, and air masses forming over land are dry. Air masses move from one location to another because of wind. Wind is air in motion. It is put into motion by the energy of the sun. Some parts of the earth are heated more than others by the sun. The air above these hot spots is warmed and rises because it is less dense than surrounding air. Here is a simple demonstration that shows why warm air is less dense than cold air. A small amount of air is blown into the balloon, and then the balloon is stretched over the mouth of the bottle. As the air in the balloon and bottle is heated, the balloon expands. Air molecules move faster and more vigorously when heated. Because of this increased energy and motion, the molecules bounce around and move farther away from each other. The balloon expands as a result of this activity. Warm air is less dense than cold air because the molecules of warm air spread out and require more room than molecules of cold air. Air molecules are held close to the earth by gravity. If we weigh a column of air 1 inch square from sea level to the top of the atmosphere, it weighs almost 14.7 pounds. If more air molecules are packed into the column, the weight goes up and the pressure increases. So, cold, dense air has greater pressure than warm air, which is less dense. Winds always move from areas of high pressure into areas of low pressure.
So cold, dense air moves to the low-pressure areas of warm air. On a weather map, there are areas identified with an H for high pressure and areas marked with an L for low pressure. The thin lines on the map are called isobars. They connect weather stations with the same pressure readings. The numbers are in special units called millibars of pressure. On a warm summer day at the beach, you may have felt a cooling breeze. This happens because the land heats up faster than the water. As the air above the heated land rises, then the cool air over the water moves in to replace it. At night, the opposite happens. The water holds on to the heat longer than the land, so the air above the water is heated and rises as cool air above the land sinks and moves out from the land to the water. These sea breeze winds only affect a small region.
No, because I was here yesterday. She wasn't here yesterday. Let me see if that's it.
Watch weather reports for a few.
All right, so what I want you to do now is go to Google Classroom and complete the assignment I posted this morning.